Is there any danger to listening to ASMR videos? See, I've been seeing a rise in this trend where people cause all sorts of sounds on a microphone, and they have to tune it to different frequencies and the such, and they can end up with all sorts of effects on the human body. Now, when it comes to me, I also tried listening to the such, but for some reason it feels as if none of them ever had any impact on me. So I may say, as of personal experience, the results can vary on individual, right? This is something logical, one may say. Still, is there any danger to listening to ASMR? Well, I would say there are two dangers to it, but again, if people have the patience to listen till the end, these are not necessarily something too critical, so do not get alarmed. So when it comes to ASMR, basically, there are sounds that influence you in a certain way. Preferably, you have to be in a certain sleepy mood or, let's say, a state in which you accept those into your system. But even if you are not in such a state, you're still gonna accept those in your system because sound is the foundation of all life. Even if there are sounds that your ears cannot hear, they're still going through you, right? Everything that is physical has a sound, right? Everything that is physical is sound based, right? If you cannot believe this, well, let's look a bit into Asian wisdom, right? The Japanese call those big drums of theirs and the drummers who play them as taiko, which means the primordial heartbeat, right? The first sound of life. If we look at the Hindu tradition, well, they say everything that is physical has a sound. All sound is the representation of something physical. Nothing physical can exist without a sound. Now, if we look towards, let's say, Christianity, their Bible says at first there was the sound. So when the first seeds of physicality appeared in the world, obviously they came with a sound. Sound, just like food, just like water, how you accept those into your body is up to you. You can accept those consciously or unconsciously, and they will behave water, food, sounds, everything that you accept into your body, well, it will have a certain impact on one's body based on how you accept them, consciously or unconsciously. See, a lot of people, when they're listening to music, they become slaves of that music because they become like in a trance, right? They give all their power to that music. So they simply become sponges. They absorb all the meaning of that music. But the meaning is not necessarily that which is written in the verses. See, a cult can be used. You can put certain curses, hexes, or all sorts of negative connotations, energies that people cannot hear or cannot perceive. Being energies, they have a certain sound of their own. People who are sensitive may pick up on certain things. You don't necessarily need to listen to those. Either your gut feeling will tell you about that, or you might get certain bad feelings, omens. There are multiple dimensions to your body, and they will pinpoint you this. Don't forget, sound is a very powerful tool, right? It is a representative of physicality, it is everywhere in the world. People get overstimulated by sounds and they do not understand why. See, when you are in a bus or anywhere in crowded spaces, everyone around you most likely has a phone. All those phones most likely have their Wi-Fi and or mobile data active, right? Those phones receive, information through those, and they ping information out, right? All of those are nothing else but radiations, right? Radiation is energy, right? A very subtle form of energy, but it still has a certain sound. It still pierces through you, so it still affects your system one way or another. In a minor role, yes, but one sound here, one sound there. Well, a lot of people are wondering why they have depression and the such. Well, there were reasons why the people who are still wetting themselves that they're ruling this world chose to have us live in this, jungles of steel and stone. Because when everyone is compacted, people will ultimately end up suffering from depression, suffering from all sorts of negativity, because the misery of everyone, once it is condensed, it is forced upon each and everyone, right? And well, it kind of self propagates through here. That's why it's hard to pull out of misery and self doubt and self sabotage and, thinking that you're not good enough. Let alone, let's not forget that, karmic substance from your ancestors also represents that, right? Because they also went through similar things throughout the generations. So it becomes harder and harder to pull out of. Well, depending on, the karmic structure of each and every child and new generation. Returning to the idea of ASMR, see, the point is this. There are two things that people have to understand. Sound can be used in evil way or it can be used in good ways. There have been weapons designed throughout time that, they can be used to cause harm through sounds, right? Let's not forget when you launch electromagnetic pulses, those are still, some sounds in the end. They are physical waves, but they have their own sound. Music can be a way to dumb people down, right? It is sound, but it has layers of occult upon it, right? Layers of things that you may not know, right? I've made a few videos, I think, on the occultism of music. Probably I'll make others. I don't know necessarily. But when you listen to ASMR, don't forget one thing. Listen to them in a conscious way. See, the most graceful way or gracious way to fall asleep is to fall asleep in a conscious way. Your physical body needs rest. Every part of you needs rest because physicality also needs to realign itself with, its primordial frequency or its base frequency. And it is easier achieved through sleep. But your awareness can stay aware, right? It can stay functional even when you stay asleep, right? Because when you're asleep, your awareness can still be active, right? And I'm not talking about vivid dreams, those are not what I'm talking about. And if someone masters this idea of falling asleep in an aware way by detaching them from their emotions and the constant clutter of the mind, one will easily become welcoming of death because basically that is the same thing. You simply become, in a way, asleep, but you are fully aware. You leave your body in a different way. And that will also have a different influence on how you are reborn and when also, but less on the second part. So when you listen to songs, accept them in a conscious way, because if you simply let them influence you, other things will also influence you, because don't forget, you're listening to ASMR. ASMR comes from one or more artists, right? They are people, they have their own karma. And what they are doing, they're also, their work, throws their own vibration, right? Because what you see basically is their physical body, but you can't perceive or you rarely perceive their auric field, right? Because you can literally see it if you concentrate yourself a bit, but it doesn't matter. The more important part is their emotions, their triggers, everything regarding them. You're connecting yourself to that because you're not only seeing the person, but at least hearing them, right? Because you don't need to look at them. The simple fact that sounds from them come to you even after years after the video was posted there. Well, every time you listen to that, you're reconnecting yourself to that past version of that person, right? So you're in a way bathing in their emotional output, right? In their misery, maybe, or in their accomplishments, or whatever. But don't forget, all humans have their misery as well. You don't want to expose yourself too much to this because one day you might start feeling that you have suddenly some thoughts that don't belong to you, and you're gonna ask, well, where do they come from? So do use these in a conscious way. The more conscious you are of those things and you accept them, you just listen to them, you know their sounds, but you don't force yourself to those, the meaning is all in your head, it's gonna have less of an influence on you, right? And their ASMR role of allowing you to fall asleep will be much more potent. Secondly, and most important, don't forget the mind functions on 90 minutes frames, right? 90 minutes it is active while you sleep, and then 90 minutes it is said to be needing of rest. So be sure to listen to ASMR at most 90 minutes, because if it is more, you can damage your mind in ways that are subtle. This being said, hopefully this video raised a bit of awareness. You are appreciated, take care, and well, Ferinjan Board signing out.